G'day folks. Well, we're going to have a little chat about number 46. So I'm going to chat today about cooling. Now I've come up with a few little plans of attack. I'm still having the last meeting down at Simmons I had a little bit of heat issue. Yes, it was a 30-degree day, and it was a good test actually to see if I could keep a sort of a lid on temps. Well, it turns out that I was struggling. I was getting three laps, fairly reasonable laps, and then after that she'd just start to get too hot. So I had to pull the foot out of it and sort of just putt round and try and get some temp back down. It turns out I know that the bonnet I had raised at the back was no good. Now, I had a fella comment on it and he sent me a link, and I did some more research, and I understand the effects of what I actually did raising the back of the bonnet was actually doing a opposite effect to really what I wanted. Lower speeds, yes, I'd say it was working, because I often had put my hand out across the windscreen at around 80 sort of kilometres an hour. Yes, there was air coming out from under the back of the hood, but I think as speed increased from sort of that speed onwards, I think it became less inefficient, and I think once you get right up in the speed, it was actually having the opposite effect. So I've dropped the bonnet back down, and I'm going to take another approach at trying to get rid of the air from the engine bay. Okay, now what I've gone and done is there were some flaps that run from the fender well, and it sort of covered the wishbone and part of the chassis. Well, I've taken them off. They're only sort of just plugged in there with some little plastic plugs. They were quite easy to take out. And I've done both sides. You'll see that. And the idea behind that is to encourage some air out of the side of the car, out the side of the engine bay. Now, my next plan of attack is I'm going to put a splitter on the front of it. Now, I think after doing some research again, I think it's going to have two benefits. One, at higher speed, to try and limit the air in under the car, because I know once you get up around 200, this thing starts to feel a little bit floaty in the front. And the second benefit is trying to ram some air into the front. And what that does is limits the air going under the car, so reduce the air going under the car, ramming it into the front more, so it'll exhaust out of the engine bay better under the car and be more efficient. So that's my idea behind it, and added a bit of downforce at higher speed, because at the back straight at Simmons Plains, you tend to where you're up in the speed there, I'm pushing close to 200 k's an hour, which is, it's getting there, but it's not over fast. But a little bit of aero and a little bit of downforce and cooling is what I'm after. So I'm going to put videos up on that and talk about it, and I'll go through it in the coming weeks, and we'll go from there. Now, my next little thing I've done is it's a trial and error thing, but I think it's going to have a reasonable little impact. Not sure if you can see it. There you go. I've put I've finned in aluminium trim the sump. Now, I was looking at the transmission, you see. That transmission is a cast aluminium sump. with shallow fins on it. Now I know this isn't a cast aluminium sump, it's just a tin sump, but by gluing on, which I've done with a little bit of silicone, just 3 dabs of silicone on each one, I've created a bit of a heat transfer. And look, it really cost me nothing. You can't really see it, so it's not a visual thing. I know that I had the car running about an hour ago. I had it running for probably 15 minutes, and I flicked it off, and I've got a nice little industrial, oh here it is, little industrial fan that I often run. And I turned it on, and I ran it for about 5 minutes. Checked it before I turned the fan on. It was quite hot, and the fins were really hot too, which was amazing. I could feel the heat. It was just pulling the heat out. But as soon as I got airflow on it, within 5 minutes, probably wasn't even that, I could touch the sump. It was just pulling the heat out of it. So it's going to be a bit of a test to see if it helps. How much, who knows? It'll be a little test. I'm quite keen. I like to try different things. I like to think out of the box a little bit and try all these little things. I'm going to put as well a oil cooler on, but not how I described it in the last sort of couple of videos back. I'm going to, just for now, I'm going to mount it in on the single line to the accumulator. Now that accumulator varies in pressure, like engine pressure and revs. So I think there's going to be enough flow in and out to help. I'm just going to try it. This is, like I said, it's all just trial and error. At the minute I'm not really keen on running a set of lines right down to the back of the car and doing all that jazz. I just want to try this. It's a bit of an experiment, and I think I'm confident. I think it's going to help. So I'm not after a completely endurance car. I just want to be able to do 5 to 6 laps down there without having to worry about it getting too hot. You know, if it climbs up a little bit, then I can pull my 6 laps in on a warm day. Look, to me that's mission accomplished. But the other weekend down there, I think it just got a little bit out of control. I could only really do 3 laps, 3 reasonable laps, and then she'd just, you know, just start to get a bit too hot. And I think too, if I can, like with the finning under the sump, if I can just come in and even, because it takes around 45 minutes to an hour between each, well, it just depends. It's about half an hour between each races. If you can flip your bonnet up, and even with a bit of a breeze running in under the sump, it should be able to pull some temp out of the oil in the sump to help it for the next race. Like I said, I'm not after an endurance car, like a supercar or anything, but I just want to be able to go down there and not have to worry too much about temps. So it's all trial and error at the moment, guys. I'm just trying little different things and learning, but that's what it's all about. So, and I'm really enjoying it. Okay guys, until next time, I'll catch you later.